modern business relies on a complex tech stack, but most systems are disconnected or poorly integrated, limiting their full potential and forcing teams to endure manual processes and countless repetitive tasks. Enter Patchworks, the ultimate integration platform as a service, seamlessly handling everything from one-to-one connections to intricate networks of many. Connect to your tech stack with any application in our marketplace, or become the architect of your own connectors using our connector builder. Design automations from simple to complex, using shapes like filters, caching, and scripts that push boundaries, handling large-scale data in record time, and unlocking potential in your business you never dreamed possible. Streamline your data flow to supercharge operational efficiency. Enjoy lightning-fast setup, effortless tech integration, reporting, notifications, and run logs to squash issues in no time. Say goodbye to the countless hours spent on manual and tedious tasks, and hello to peace of mind, letting your team focus on what truly matters. Work with our approved partner network, or do it yourself with our Patchworks Academy, and join hundreds of global brands we power to grow and expand at pace.
Yeah, the original plan was going to play that come on to like audience, applause, weren't we?
I really want to say Run VT.
Yeah, we'll do it next time. There's always next year, isn't there? So, very exciting chat now, everyone. A peek behind the wizard's curtain. That's what we're going to do now. So we've all seen the UX, we've all seen how it happens, but what goes on behind the scenes? How does this stuff actually work? And that's what we're going to talk about today, and that's where Patchworks comes in. So we've got Dave and Dave, so that's going to be fun, getting nice and confused, yeah. And I'm going to start by asking Dave, what is Patchworks, Dave?
Well, hopefully everyone's just seen the video, but we're an integration platform. I'm going to let the other Dave, who's our founder, touch on kind of where we came from. We've been around now for, over 10 years? 15 years? 10 really, I think. Was it? Yeah. Okay. And in that time, we've transitioned, which you'll touch on in a minute, from a SI or an agency building integrations to a platform now. We license a platform, which hopefully from the VT you kind of got a glimpse of, that you can streamline and build really quick integrations between the two. We never want to oversimplify it, because integrations aren't easy, right? It's not just click and drag. It can be, depending on the platform, but when people come to us, it's because they want to add complexity. And that's what we can do.
Cool. So I like to think of it as like when you go to a bowling alley and you sling the ball down there, it goes in the gutter, misses the pins, goes in the back, or sometimes it hops over Mairead into the next alleyway and knocks them over. And then all that stuff's going on behind and it straightens your pins afterwards.
We're the plumbing. We're the plumbing.
Yeah, to connect all the stuff up. Yeah. So Dave, can you give us a bit of background on how Patchworks came about? What was the problem you were trying to solve there? And
yeah, I mean, I started an agency in 2006 called Juno, and the driving forces for the creation of Patchworks were that I didn't know how to charge enough, and I was very good at SEO, so I got to number two globally for the words web design, and number one for the word Magento e-commerce. I also was selling websites for $5,000. So the combination of that resulted in significant pain, but also meeting great merchants. So I ended up meeting some lovely retailers called Graham and Green, who worked with Microsoft Dynamics. They were coming out of CBA, so my £5,000 website was quite appealing to them at the time. And so we integrated with Dynamics Nav, and we integrated someone else with Sage 200, and I thought there's something in this, and so I created a content strategy around integration, targeting specifically ERPs internationally, and my phone started ringing from around the world, with people saying, "G'day mate, can you integrate with Skyline?" And I'd say, "Well, I've not done Skyline, but we've done Nav and Sage 200. And I kind of realised, and I think this is still true today, if you've got an agency or a software, that you can use integration as a way of targeting merchants. So I always looked at it as a way of identifying either a sector or a technology that encapsulated my ICP. So if you've got a big commerce agency today, you might specialise in NetSuite integration because your ICP is retailers that do 5 million plus, for example. And so we
went about essentially integrating, taking on complex challenges, but it was very much a service and a software, so it's quite hard work basically. And then more recently we took some funding in the last 5 years, and it's very much become a platform now that enables other software vendors, other softwares to embed the platform into their platform as an integration platform, or for agencies to leverage and monetize the integrations. But I still think the opportunity for softwares and for agencies is to use an integration platform or integration to actually target the merchants that you're looking for.
So what's the main benefit now? Obviously it's evolved, the platform has. So what do you hear people saying to you most, like, they love about the platform?
Visibility is a big one. I think for those that have got maybe a black box integration or are restricted by their out-the-box connector app, everyone calls it something different, we give them that visibility into what it's doing, and also if something goes wrong, hopefully it doesn't, if it's built right, you can quickly triage where did it go wrong, versus, you know, we've seen it in the past where everyone's ringing around their vendors trying to work out why an order hasn't got from A to B. You can very quickly triage that kind of where it went or which API failed. So that visibility and control is the biggest piece. For sure.
Speed to market, I think, is the other one. So a lot of agencies or partners will sell their product, and then the customer's got to wait until it's connected to the rest of their ecosystem. So we're enabling them to get to market quickly.
People typically call us when shit's gone wrong. They call us too late, or I'm sure none of the tech providers would do it in it, but someone's oversold their tech, saying it connects to Shopify and it does everything you need. We get brought in kind of in the background very quickly to help solve that problem when they've maybe got too much customization in their ERP, PIM, OMS, and they'll bring us in and we'll kind of help solve that as quickly as possible.
It's like the A-team then, really.
Oh, you could call us that, yeah.
Yeah. No one else can help. You can find them. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So I think from our point of view, you know, I don't like to go on about it, but when I started, you know, it was all text edit, FTP it up. I'd have a bike up a cobbled street full of Hovis, that sort of thing. And obviously that evolved into writing code, and, you know, I've written connectors before, and it's quite complex. It's a lot of arcane stuff that only I know about, and then I go on holiday and then Tom has to fix it, and he's literally pulled all his hair out trying to fix this stuff. And that's what really attracts me to it, is that it's, you know, that kind of democracy. Anyone can see, you can see very clearly how these things are connected. You can see the different stages. Yeah. And also, definitely that speed and that agility, because, you know, it is, you know, you want to incorporate something quickly, or maybe you're migrating tech stacks, and you know, you want to change one thing at a time, and it's this 2-year project you've got going, so you can keep using your Patchworks, plugging it into different things and moving through like that.
And the beauty there is as well, you don't need to start completely again, right? If you've built, I don't know, Shopify to a NetSuite, if you now migrating to Big Commerce, you just unplug that Shopify bit. Yes, there'd be some mapping and some tweaks that need to be made, but you don't need to start the whole NetSuite piece again. You know, you can copy that over, which just removes that blocker straight away.
Yeah, I quite like that. You can sort of copy it, then start changing before you set live. That's quite a nice sort of sort of feature, really, isn't it?
I think a lot of the reason, again, that Patchworks came into reality was because of exactly what you said there. We had 50 integrations live that were point-to-point, written in code, and I had one guy that knew how to do it, and I thought, if he ever goes under a bus, I'm going to be stuffed, and so are all of our customers. So that was essentially why Patchworks was created, and I think it is the case that a lot of softwares and agencies are still building point-to-point connectors and are still living that reality, which is, I find, mind-boggling. But
it's not so much fun, is it? But, you know, get used to what you're used to, really, isn't it? But yeah, I think another good thing as well. So if a company's growing, obviously the platform grows with them. It's all, well, iPaaS, isn't it? Which basically SaaS, but it's all hosted by you guys,
Yep.
and it can,
Fully scale.
it will just scale up automatically with it and things like this.
Yeah, we had a customer, historically, old world, if a customer didn't tell us that they were going to do a sale overnight, the whole platform could fall down. New world, with it being auto scale, we had a customer go, I think they went 3 weeks early for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Typically do, I think it was like 10 to 20,000 orders. They did 100,000 orders in their first weekend. Maybe because they went so early and it was a decent sized sale. But yeah, we didn't even know until we came in the Monday. And that's SaaS right now, that's standard, the old world, and we still see it today where over peak, over Christmas, people's black box integrations or legacy integrations keep falling down because they're not SaaS, or they're black box codes, and something will go wrong.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've had that in the past. Sort of somebody gets their product on the telly, and then you're on a small server, and that's it. Pops, doesn't it? But not so much these days, which is pretty good. Let's have a look. I've got my ChatGPT questions here. Oh yeah. So this is a good one. You'll like this. Okay. AI. Yeah. So how's AI being incorporated in this? What sort of things can you do for merchants there?
So we've got AI on the roadmap at the minute. Like, and some of our competitors have gone earlier with it, or we're seeing with some of the tech. Like, we use HubSpot as our CRM, right? They've done a massive push on AI. But when you actually get into the weeds of it, there's so much AI out there. I'm not saying for those tech providers in the room are, but a lot of it, when you actually get through the marketing, there's not a lot of meat behind it. We're due to release a script writer, right? So in those more complex scenarios, you'll be able to go into the platform and through AI generate a script that looks at all of our other kind of data so that it is smart, versus just connect us into ChatGPT and say that it will build a flow, when it can build a flow, but it actually does nothing.
Yeah. So that's more to build the actual flows as opposed
longer term. That's on the roadmap. But the point of integrations is it's hard, right? If integrations are easy, we wouldn't exist, right? But we come in when tech providers don't have a connector or an integration. We help them say yes more often. Their connectors limit them. Like anything around an ERP, if you're trying to do an out the box, it's going to be really difficult. Or they've realised that old world of integrating is not the right way for them to do it anymore. But AI isn't going to be in the integration world. That's solved overnight. I think the future will get there. But if you went into AI and said, build me this integration, it's just not going to work. So it's not going to know your customization, exactly what you want, the fields it needs to pull. So touch wood, in the future we'll get there, but we might not be needed then at the same time.
Placed by robots.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Because as well, you have a lot of ready-made nodes anyway, don't you, for
Yeah.
connectors,
Yeah.
which again speeds things up, but also that flexibility, isn't it? So you can build your own connections for ones
Correct.
that don't exist yet. And also, you do your own scripts, can't you, transform data and things like that. So it's very flexible, but also a lot of out the box, which is obviously quite good. You're not reinventing the wheel and things like that, which is also pretty good. I think that's nearly covered everything. Has anyone got anything else?
I think one of the quite a good use case for us is that we work quite a lot with Castor. I know I bang on about Castor, but I do love them. But their business model is essentially connecting up sports clubs, but they almost sell a technology platform to sports clubs and say, we can get you online, handle all of your logistics. This is our package. And so we've built with them over a period of time, almost like an instant to deploy sports club integrated platform with Shopify, NetSuite, GXO. So now that they're almost harvesting sports clubs, putting them onto a pre-built platform and then going about their daily business. So it's quite an interesting way of almost taking a business model and replicating it without multiplying the amount of work required. So it's almost like a business in a box for them now. So we're really economical. They get to roll out sports clubs really quickly, and it's really kind of tech enabled. And I think that's quite an interesting model.
which is that copy and paste piece.
Yeah, so like merchants go in international stores, add a new store, you can copy and paste the integration.
And just change the store logins, right? And we license directly with a lot of tech providers as well, and they're using us in the background where they can't, keep up with demands from customers, new tech that's coming out. They'll come to us, and in those scenarios, they'll say, right, we'll sell it into one, and then you just rinse and repeat. And as and when someone's updating their APIs, like we have a lot of customers on Shopify, and with this, the move to GraphQL and the demise of the old way, instead of having to build your whole integration again, you just go into your connector, find the new endpoint, change that endpoint, and then you're ready to go. It's not rebuilding everything all of the time. So that agileness and that speed is a big part of it.
Yeah, so that's the great thing really. So it's that, speed to market, that simplicity, flexibility and scalability.
Yep. Well, you should work in our marketing team.
I've done the training. I've got a little badge.
The key thing is that it's a visual interface, so it kind of takes something that's really challenging in code and makes it very easy to understand for a technical user. So an agency can roll out integrations, a SaaS company can deliver their own integrations themselves, a retailer with a technical member of staff can implement integrations, make updates, self-serve, self-support, which reduces a lot of the long-term costs. So it's essentially just democratizing integration and making it kind of fun. So and accessible to anyone that is moderately technical. I wouldn't say
I wouldn't be able to do it.
I'm a creative, so I literally can't do it, and I probably never will be able to. But if you are moderately technical, you can essentially roll out integrations, and actually some of our best case studies are really with customers that have got lots of brands that are just saying, well, we can do this all in-house ourselves, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's good in a tech team if you try and explain to another team member. It's a lot easier because it is like a flow chart. Yeah. So it's linear. It's a lot easier to understand. Yeah.
And nowadays our project managers, and they can do the integrations. Like anyone that looks at the platform that is technical can essentially get in and help customers. You don't need to go and speak to a developer every time, which, as you know, developers tend, particularly within agencies and retailers, tend to be very busy. Just being able to go, well, I can do this myself, is really important, because it just. So it's I think it's just making integration fun, really, and it is, very difficult to make it sound fun, I think, in these kinds of settings, but
it's the wizard's curtain.
It's a lot, the wizard's curtain, but it's a lot more enjoyable now than perhaps it was in 2010, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I think definitely, like you say, it does enable people to make their own changes, which is pretty good, isn't it? And they can break it themselves.
Yeah,
rather than me break it for them.
You don't have to have that agency lock.
Yeah, the reason a lot of people will end up picking us is because they say longer term we might want to take it in-house. Reality is a lot of people don't. They stay with their agency and continue to do their maintenance plans or like adding new tech, but there is that option that, if they wanted to, they could take it in-house. It's not that black box, or it's sat on their servers, or they've built it all. Or reality is you could hand it to another agency if you fall out with your current one.
And as I explained as well earlier, like I've started an agency, so I've joined the board in Patchworks now. I got wheeled in last minute by Dave to give him some moral support for this. But I've started an agency now, and I've got exactly the same thoughts. Like, I want to go and find customers that use systems like NetSuite or Microsoft Dynamics. So I've built an SI, so we're doing Patchworks integration. But we're targeting NetSuite, Microsoft Dynamics, because we want to sell consulting services. So we're doing integration, and then we're like, through Patchworks, we've been referred a load of cool merchants like Castor, Lounge Underwear, like top merchants. We're doing integrations for them, and then we can speak to them about the rest of their stack. So we can go and say, okay, do you need some help with your ERP? What other systems have you got in your? So we're kind of in a position now with the agency where we can recommend technology to the customers that we're talking to. We can help them with their ecosystem, and Patchworks is the kind of the fabric underneath it all that just enables that to happen. I'm doing exactly the same thing, using a bit of SEO and stuff to find customers that use decent systems because they fit my ICP. I was talking to Mike Sarr earlier about B2B, like we want to get more into B2B, so I'm thinking, what softwares do I need to market to get into the B2B space? So you look at things like obviously Big Commerce, Ecommerce and the various different platforms, and you can kind of use those systems to say, okay, well I can, if I target those customers, that'll take me into that space. I'm looking at AD as well, who's doing a similar game, but he's getting into manufacturing because there's big customers there, but he's targeting manufacturing customers with his business because that is a completely different game in terms of knowledge and scale of customer and all that kind of thing. So
I think that's an important point. The fashion brands and all the rest that ended up on the Patchworks platform, that was just because they followed a trend. It's not because of what the Patchworks platform can do. The Patchworks platform can connect system to system to system and let the data travel. It's just the trend happened inside e-commerce and fashion brands. So
yeah, so I'm quite excited to see what happens with that. That's,
Yeah, we see that a lot, don't we? Like people like a good proof of concept, don't they? Because really, you don't want to take too much risk, do you? Especially, you know, if it's like tight, you know, sort of margins or something like that. But again, it's good for that anyway, isn't it? Because you can sort of experiment. You can plug in something, see if it works. If not, you haven't spent, you know, huge amounts of money getting all these integrations written in the code and stuff, have you?
Back in the day, it used to take us weeks to create all the authentication and set up all the endpoints. And now, when we're talking to customers, we can say, give us your credentials. We can actually build an orders integration on the phone, like on a Zoom call with them, while we're pitching at them, which is I find unbelievable. Like when I first saw the connector builder and that kind of stuff, I nearly cried.
With excitement. With excitement.
Or just like how is this even possible? Like it used to take us. We used to sell it, and we'd probably say it would take 3 months, and it used to take 3 months just to build the first connection, let alone the actual flows and all the data stuff. So it's really quite a powerful evolution, and I think integration now is becoming commoditized. And so it's about having the tools that are powerful enough to overcome complexity, but also enable you to connect quickly to the smaller systems that are a bit quicker and inexpensively. So it's just an interesting ecosystem.
Oh, 7 minutes for questions.
Oh no.
Oh, look at this. Questions. We'll start at the front and move to the back. Sorry.
Yeah, guys, love Patchworks. My question to you as a tech provider, sustainability being really big at the moment, B Corps, a lot of tech companies are looking at that now. I know a lot of agencies are going through that also. Is that almost a selling point from you guys? So I'm thinking, right, quicker to market, less development time, meaning less electric used to create, you know, the connections, etc. Is that a certain use case? Yeah.
I think there definitely is, I guess, around the speed, but then the other side is having all of that. Like the challenge we're seeing a lot is people have got all this data that they need maybe to do that piece, and it's all fragmented. But hopefully with us, we can get all, if you've got some information over here, some information here, you can pull it all into one place, and then, you know, whether that's a CRM, ERP, wherever it needs to go, you can get any data point that you need, as long as it's got an API. As long as there's an API, you can get it into a file. We can get it from A to B.
I think I think there's a lot of green tech out there as well that's very exciting. And again, they normally work in isolation. So more recently, I've started working with a company called Karma who plant trees with every order. But we've integrated our Zero account with Karma, so we plant a tree with every invoice, which I think is, you know, fairly interesting. So you can do things that are environmentally friendly using integration. It doesn't have to be Patchworks, but there are lots of
should be there.
Almost certainly, yeah. But you can, if you think laterally, you can find green tech, incorporate it into your system, and incorporate it into your kind of your environmental value set. And I think, I'm a big fan of planting trees. I think with Donald Trump coming out, perhaps the green agenda is going down the pecking order, but I think that's more of an incentive for the likes of us to actually do a bit more. and perhaps say, well, we'll just ignore all that and get on with it and try and offset some of the carbon impact that we're having as a generation of technology.
More of a statement, but I think it's an important one. So touching on what a few of you said up there, so we work with Patchworks iPaaS, I've done for many years, and you talk about it creating agility and visibility, which in e-commerce in particular, it's such a chaotic, frenzied place. A lot of merchants, they've got so many things that they're trying to do, that what I found in the old world, iPaaS world, and I wanted to differentiate with the new Patchworks core platform, is things move so quick in the past when you're integrating all these systems together, because there's power in doing that with the agility you talk about. But the amount of customers I've seen, they're completely lost on what is now live in terms of the nuance, what the mappings and all the rest of it are. The Patchworks core platform gets away from one of the key problems I've seen out in the wild, where customers can no longer make quick change because they're lost on where they've got to and what's going to have a knock-on effect to something they didn't realize was now there, because it's almost a living live document now. Yeah. The visualization of the platform, and it not being a code-based platform, so it is all the flow diagrams and all the rest of it, and you can drill into it to see the scripts and all the rest of it. That's an important step for me in my business, is we're not held up anymore by that race to making change, but then getting lost in what has been made live and what hasn't. So at any one point, open that up, that is what's live, and the customers are no longer fear the next step they need to make. So I just wanted to make that point very clear, that it is a key differentiator of the Patchworks platform. iPaaS is becoming more known, more trendy. There's lots more of them. There's more competition. And at face value, they all do the same thing. They integrate systems and get the data flowing. But a Patchworks platform visualizes that in a way that you're not going to get lost with, where you've tracked what change in what you're doing as a business. I just wanted to make that very core.
The important thing about that is you can also import a techie. So the retailer's got a dashboard with all of their configuration, and as a service provider's change, the integration remains the same. So at any point they can say to anyone moderately technical, come in and have a look at what we've got. We want to add in some new systems, and so they can immediately see what's there, what's present, how it's set up, and they can then change service providers, bring in consultants, and solution in new platforms and things like that. But a lot of the time we'll work with merchants and they'll have 6 or 7 softwares connected, which obviously is fairly intricate.
I know every time you go into a customer, and Dave will know this as well, you can spend a lot of wasted time. Dave Wiltshire via the Cogent route, and unpicking where they're up to before you can work out if you can help them is difficult, because they don't know. Yeah. They've lost sight of where they're up to, so it almost becomes too hard a task. And then there's the risk of do nothing and not creating the value that they need to create, because we haven't got the time to actually now go back, and we've created such a mess, we don't know anymore where we're up to. Like you say, if you've got it live on the Patchworks platform, they can 2 years later they've made all these changes, like Dave said, bring in a completely separate business that you want to use for their abilities, open it up, and they'll work it out on there.
I'd just like to say we haven't planted AD, but you can come to you can come to any of these.